All right, there we go. This is Phi with my second log entry for PhiArchitect.com, and this is number 20.332. So in this installment, I want to cover a few things. Number one, I want to follow through on the first log entry and how that got pushed into the real world, published, both on the website, on YouTube, and then what we can do to send that to social media. Then we're going to talk about how the log capture process gets started. So I will create a little demo log. So there's going to be a bit of an inception kind of thing going on where there's a recording within a recording here as we do the demo. But I think that should be pretty interesting. And then I want to do a very quick overview of the log scripts and how they are doing what they do. So very simple, very high level review here today. All right. So let's take a look at the web page. So I'm going to come down here. I've already got the browser open, and we're looking at PhiArchitect.com. So I'm going to come over to the log entry, and you'll see our first entry into the log here, our init log, and I click on that. And there are the notes that were prepared for it, and a little thumbnail from the image. I'll show you how we're going to capture that later. And also a link into YouTube. So if I click here on that, and it brings the video up in YouTube, and we can begin playing it from here. And let's see. I hope you'll come and take a look at it. And then after that, I want to show you the PhiArchitect channel, right? So I've created a log playlist, so all of the log entries will be placed in there, and everything's kind of coming together quite nicely. So I'm pretty happy with all of this. There's probably more details to talk about, but I just wanted to give a little update on how that's happening. Now let's go back over to PhiArchitect.com because one of the important aspects of creating this work is to be able to flow it out into other places. So we always post into the website first, and then from there post into other places. So right now, I'm just going to demo Twitter. So clicking the Twitter share, everything that's necessary for creating an entry on Twitter is already set up in that link, and so it kind of pre-fills the dialog box for creating a new tweet, and simple as that. So whenever I create a new page on a Photon site, I can quickly push it out into various social media areas. So this is pretty exciting, and there's more work to do there, and of course there's more social media places where we're going to want to share the work, and we'll get into that at another time. But the key aspect of it is to be able to flow through and make this as easy as possible. So next I want to show how a log is captured, and that starts with the creation of a web page. So I'm going to get out of this screen here, and I'm going to go up one level back to the log page, and now from here I'll just type N for new, and then L to narrow down to log as the template that I'm going to use. I have a special template, or scaffold as I called them, which facilitates entering certain kinds of information. So for a log, it's actually very simple. When I hit enter, I'm prompted. It's already figuring out the little timestamp thing that I'm doing, which is 2 digits for the year, a dot, and then the day of the year, which today is 332. And we're going to type demo as the title for this one. I can give it a subtitle and say how a recording is done, and it pre-fills the date. I could add a category and a tag here. I'm not going to do that right now. And this is where I might have a more descriptive summary, and I don't really need to do that right now. Really, what I'm trying to show you is how we would create a recording for this page. So I can put my notes in here just as I did for the video that I'm recording right now, and that will eventually become a part of the website there. And now from here, I have various actions that I can do on a page, and one of them is to initiate a log entry or log recording. So typing a capital L brings me into a special function area, and S will begin to create the recording. And I can just call this one demo. And then I have a little countdown, which is really nice to have a little bit of space before the recording starts. And you can see that it's now starting to capture frames. And then when we're done, I hit quit. Goes through a little bit of a processing thing, and the recording starts. And you can see that it's now starting to capture frames. All right. And so it's really as simple as that. I want this to just be incredibly straightforward for capturing information. I'm finding that I have so many things to document, and I think to be able to document it by actually talking about it and demonstrating it is going to be the easiest way. Trying to write words around every little thing that I've done, I don't think it's actually as useful. And certainly for my future self, which I'm really is probably one of the primary reasons that I'm doing this, to capture this work, because, you know, I can walk away from it for a while and kind of forget some of the detail and nuance of where I'm at. And so this logging operation is really important here. So I have another window up above here, which is actually recording this particular thing. That's why we've got like a recording and a recording. So it's pretty cool that I can actually do that, you know, in this environment. So so let's quit out of here and go back to our main page. So you'll see now I've got 3 pages under log. I'll delete the demo later, but let's go back into our capture and flow and take a look at our notes. And so just a couple things I didn't point out. When you know, as soon as the recording is done, it goes into preview mode, and then from there I can find a particular frame that is nice and then capture that as the thumbnail. I forgot to do that in here. And I didn't show you where the logs are being recorded. So I don't put the log recording, which is really can be quite a huge file, directly inside of the Photon page folder. Instead, I am putting them outside in a separate folder that is then being synchronized with my cloud server, my Nextcloud server, so that I'm not, you know, creating all this heavy content, you know, in GitHub, which really I think most of these file sizes are going to exceed what GitHub can hold for the content. So I'm looking at a couple of different, you know, refinements on this process that is happening. But let's take a look at where the logs are. And all right, so there's just 2 files in here right now. I just have the original init file and then the demo file that was finished recording. The file that we're working on here right now, that is being recorded right now, if I were to take a look inside of this folder, you see there's a temp.mkv. So I'm actually starting the file here. It's already at 51, 52 megabytes, you know, at this point. And the reason I'm making a temp file first is you notice that there was a bit of processing that has to happen. There's a bit of an audio sync problem when recording from the screen, and I'll show you what I'm doing about that. So let's jump into the code. I'm going to quit this, and let's quit this page and go into my dot files. So everything that I I do as far as scripting for Photon is in my .photon folder, and I've got a tools directory for some of the common things that I have. And in here, uh, if we go into log, you'll see there's two files. There's main and actions. So actions, when I type S, it's going to call screen main. And you'll see we're heavily using FFmpeg for these operations. It's quite an incredible tool, so versatile. I just tell it here to do a screen capture, an X11 grab of the main screen, and kind of situate that so that it lines up, and then record the audio from my microphone, which is right next to me, and then save that to the temp file that you saw. And then once that's all done and that process has been completed, it runs through and performs an audio offset, which is 0.33 seconds. And then, so we have two inputs there, and they're mapped, accordingly for the audio and video. And then I run the audio through a bit of a filter to just a high pass to get rid of the low frequency noise, and increase the volume just a little bit, as I found that works. And then there's another filter that just helps to clean up the sound a bit. And then once that's all done, that gets put to the output file, which is a combination of the logs folder and that little process of naming the file when it gets when I instantiate the logging process. And then once it's all done, I remove the temp file and then open the recording to review it and make sure everything is okay. So that is really it. One of the other things I didn't mention is this little countdown function. So it's just a very simple loop that sleeps 1 second 5 times and prints the number out. So it's just really handy. I found that it happening right away was really kind of disruptive, so it's nice. And I think I want to have a little beep that goes off, as a further refinement later. So that's about it. And let's go back to our page here, quit, and just make sure that I didn't miss anything. And yeah, I think we got everything. Yeah, I showed the various functions. Oh, I didn't show the log function that I use to get me to the right page in Photon, and also open the camera here for the recording. So we'll take a look at the recording functions in a much more in-depth log or status report at another time. But I think that's about it. So this is Phi, signing off.